Within the dark weave of this dyed cotton garment are distinct visual imperfections. Lighter streaks interrupt the color, and white flecks sit embedded. While consumers view these as manufacturing defects, a forensic investigator treats them as a measurable dataset, the first step in linking a recovered fragment to a specific production run. Cotton is the foundational material of the global textile industry, making it the most prevalent natural fiber recovered in criminal investigations. Translating a fabric flaw into scientifically actionable evidence requires high-resolution analysis. This text defines the standard for microscopic fiber comparison. To understand a textile's forensic signature, examiners look past the factory floor to evaluate the biological maturity of the plant cell itself. The global volume of cotton production is immense. In 2008 alone, the industry processed 24.4 million tons of raw material. Large-scale mechanical processing through heavy industrial vats creates the assumption that modern manufacturing produces completely uniform materials. However, aggressive chemical scouring cannot erase the biological variability that develops within a single natural seed pod. This persistence of variation allows examiners to distinguish between textile sources that the industry classifies as the same product. Modern production masks this diversity, but the evidence remains tethered to the localized biology of the cotton plant. Understanding how this biology survives manufacturing requires a shift to the molecular level to isolate the base chemical composition of vegetable fibers. This is the fundamental building block of the cotton fiber, the anhydroglucose unit. These units connect by 1,4-beta-glucose links. When thousands of these units chain together, they form the rigid macromolecule known as cellulose. This chain's length determines the fiber's degree of polymerization. As this chart shows, harvested cotton has a high degree of chemical purity, containing up to 95% cellulose with virtually no lignin. A bast fiber like jute is far less pure, with cellulose levels dropping as low as 59%. Industrial scouring and bleaching strip away naturally occurring waxes and pectins, pushing the final cellulose purity up to roughly 96%. These molecular chains align tightly, creating crystalline regions that provide significant longitudinal strength along the axis of the fiber. Unlike flax or hemp, cotton's strength increases when exposed to water, as molecules form hydrogen bonds with the free hydroxyl groups. These bonds cause the secondary cellular wall to swell outward, without a proportional reduction in the fiber's length. While this molecular architecture provides the framework of the evidence, the biological growth pattern determines how that framework is filled. Moving from molecular chains to the anatomy of the plant, we can see the cross-section of the physical cell. This diagram shows the zones of a cotton fiber, the outer wax layer, a central cellulose wall, and the hollow inner core, or lumen. The defining variable for the trace examiner is the maturity of this cell. In a mature fiber, successful biological development fills the internal space. The secondary wall grows thick enough to nearly collapse the central lumen. This dense wall provides structural integrity and allows the fiber to absorb dyes evenly. If development is stunted during the ripening period, the fiber remains immature. The secondary wall becomes irregular, with alternating thick and thin sections. This irregular thickness leads to lighter, variable dye uptake, creating the visible streaks seen in finished fabrics. A dead fiber represents a total biological failure. The structure consists of a thin outer ring with almost no secondary cell wall present. Because dead fibers lack a cellulose matrix, they appear completely white or uncolored after exposure to industrial dyes. Maturity dictates the physical topography that the examiner will measure under the microscope. To compensate for these inconsistencies, the textile industry uses chemical treatments to force a more uniform appearance. This process, called mercerization, involves soaking the fibers in a strong alkali, such as sodium hydroxide. This scanning electron micrograph shows raw cotton before treatment. The fibers appear as flat, highly twisted ribbons. A 26% sodium hydroxide solution forces a permanent morphological change in the cellulose. After treatment, viable fibers swell into smooth cylinders. But notice this dead cotton fiber. It remains a flat, twisted ribbon among the swollen cylinders. Because the dead fiber lacks a secondary cellulose wall, there is no internal structure for the sodium hydroxide to expand. it is physically immune to the treatment. This mechanical failure ensures that the dead fiber will reject the dye molecules during the coloring process. These are the white flecks that eventually appear at the crime scene. By forcing the viable fibers to change, industrial processing permanently isolates the biological failures, leaving behind a forensic record of the crop's development. Returning to the bench, the examiner contextualizes these cellular structures within the broader taxonomy of vegetable fibers. Vegetable fibers are categorized by origin: seed pod fibers like cotton, stem fibers like flax, and leaf fibers like sisal. Stem fibers contain high lignin levels and require retting to liberate the strands, but cotton remains the focus of most casework. Because of its global volume, analyzing cotton's maturity is a high-yield skill for the trace examiner. Calculating the ratio of mature to dead fibers in a sample creates a morphological fingerprint. This helps determine a fabric's quality, likely country of origin, and its specific manufacturing batch. The forensic investigator reads these apparent manufacturing flaws not as mistakes, but as a direct record of the plant's biological history. Investigating trace evidence requires tracking the unbroken chain, from the 1,4-beta-glucose molecular link up through the anatomy of the plant cell to the microscopic flaw that remains at the crime scene.